Welcome to the Customer Wins Podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hi, I'm Rich Walker, the host of The Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of our past guests have included Adam Holt of AssetNap and Adrian Johnstone of Practify. Today, I get to speak with Alane Boyd, the co-founder of BGBO Co. And today's episode is brought to you by Quick, the leader in enterprise forms processing. When your business relies upon processing forms, don't waste your team's valuable time reviewing the forms. Instead, get Quick. Using our Form Extract API, simply submit your completed forms and get back clean, context-rich data that is 99.9% accurate. Visit quickforms.com to get started. Okay, before I introduce today's guest, I have to give a big thank you to Justin Crane for introducing me to Alane. Go check out Justin's website at cranefinancialsolutions.com and check out his interview on this podcast from a few months ago. All right, let's talk about our guest today. Alane Boyd is the co-founder of BGBO Co, an operations and growth strategy agency utilizing AI and automation to improve efficiency for their clients. In 2022, her company launched Arvo, an AI-powered visual documentation software for creating standard operating procedures, training documents, and company knowledge. Alane has been written and featured in Entrepreneur, HuffPost, South by Southwest, PBS, FemFounder, and so many more. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you. Alane, welcome to the Customer Wins.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, if you haven't heard this podcast before, I talk with business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they build and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. Alane, let's understand your business a little better. How does your company help people?
So my co-founder and I, when we started this company, our whole mission was to make workdays easier. And we answer that in two ways: with our services side, putting in automation, helping companies utilize their work management system like ClickUp, Monday, or Asana. And then with our software platform, Arvo, it's how do you get everything out of your head into a space that you can scale your team? And the whole goal with both of those is, hey, let's go to enjoy things that we actually like doing and not just working ourselves to death.
Oh, I love that. You know, most people don't realize my mom and I started Efficient Technology back in the 90s. We say we started it in 2002 because that's when we incorporated, but we actually started it in the late 90s, where we focused on helping people be more efficient with the tools and software they already had. So I really, really love what you're trying to do here to help people's workdays get better, because who said work had to be so hard, right?
Yeah. I laugh behind the scenes when people, when they first have this idea of automation or knowledge base, they think, oh gosh, like it's going to take away the personal aspect of business. And I'm like, but all the things behind the scenes that you do don't make it personal. It's the connection with the customer that makes it personal. So let's make those parts easier and not work so hard.
It's almost like the word automate's a dirty word, right?
Yeah, it's scary at first for some people.
So what do you think is holding people back then to actually perform the automation work that they hire you to do?
I think it's scary because a lot of times our customers, they don't know how to do it. And so that part's scary. They don't understand that world. And so, we're going to automate it. That means that it's going to be, they associate it with automated messages going to their customers. And it's really, how do you tie all the software platforms they're using day to day? And how do you cross communicate between departments? Those are the internal things that are happening, not the external things. And of course, you could have some automated email messages go out like, hey, we're kicking off this project or whatever it might be, but it doesn't have to be that. So I think that is scary to customers. And then also the time commitment on building some of the processes and stuff, like, they like the idea maybe of automation and company documentation, but it feels so overwhelming. So that's where we also try to come in and help alleviate that overwhelming feeling.
Yeah. All right. So let's reverse this then, because if you understand the benefit and can understand value, then it becomes worth the time and the effort to overcome that pain. So tell me some stories. Give me some examples of what benefits you provided to your customers or what value they saw.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the best way is that we keep getting referrals from our clients, and
Yeah.
they send it to their business owner friends, and they're like, and it's so lovely the way they say it. It's like, you're using this platform. They are experts in this, and they changed our company's lives. And so some of them we've got a client in Australia. We work with companies all over the world. We got this client in Australia, and it's really cool. They are rain catch manufacturers. So they manufacture products to catch rainwater because Australia is in such a drought. And so to help cultivate more water for farming and different things. And they have a huge catalog of products. And the process from we have an idea for a product to launching the product was scattered between 50 different places and 60 different people's heads. How do you get engineering to talk to marketing? And so we took they had spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets. And we took all that and we built out their project planning in ClickUp. So when engineering is done with a piece of what they need to do, when they mark that part complete, it automatically kicks off to the next team. When marketing needs to be looped in, hey, this is getting closer to being an actual product that we are going to put in the market, then the marketing team gets looped in right at the right time so they can start building what it's going to look like in the marketplace. And so, from a team of 60 chasing each other in spreadsheets to everything is clean and they know exactly who needs to be looped in and when because the system was built.
Wow. I've seen ClickUp because I think my podcast company uses that to help me see who's scheduled and what stages are next. So that's a tool that people are using to build the workflow or the waterfall, or how would you describe it?
A waterfall is a really good, it's like 4 waterfalls coming together is almost like it is, like, because you have different departments, right? And then
Yeah.
you're all coming together for one organization to make this a success. And so it is like that. So you can, it's a project management system, but also a little bit of a more broad perspective too, a task management system, because you might have tasks that you need to get done. Like, hey, I want to do this podcast with Alane Boyd, but she's not a guest yet. I just need to kick off like the communication with her to see if she'll be a guest. Those are maybe some personal tasks that you have. And so it's all about, I don't need to keep things in my head and take up space. I can put it in the system. I can put a due date on it and it'll pop up and tell me when I need to look at it again.
No, I love that. So is your company entirely automated?
Not entirely, but man, we have some really cool systems, and we have spent a lot of time. My business partner is really that builder and that architect of systems, and he just loves to rework it and rework it until it really works great. And so we've got some really cool systems that him and his production team have built that I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
Nice. So you drink your own Kool-Aid.
We do try to.
Now, when you work with a client, are you consulting? Are you selling them software? Are you giving them guidance and training? What are all the different types of services you actually provide to them?
It can be a combo. I will do some consulting workshops, more style, where I'm coming in for a few hours or to train them on some type of automation. Like they want to do it themselves. So I'll come in and train them on a piece of it. Then we also have a do it with you, DWY. And we really have found that that's the best way, because if we come in and build a system for the company, they don't know how to use it if they need to change it. So like, and how often do your processes change? They change all the time. And so we like to do it with them so that they can go and make changes as things need to, and they don't always have to come to us to make those changes. And then, yes, we have the software, Arvo, for building documents or how-tos and training. And that's a SaaS product. So you can go to the website, sign up for it, and other than getting emails from us on how to use the system and things, you may never talk to us. But we do offer service with that as well, because what we found is once you get to a certain company size, you need your process. There's so many processes, there's so many pieces of it that people need help they have their regular job they're trying to get done. They can't build the process, but they know they need it. So our service comes in and we build the process for them. They just have to record a 10-minute, 25-minute video, whatever it is, record that, and we build out the whole process from that.
Nice. That's awesome. I never thought about that. Have your customer record a video of what they're trying to do, show it to you to help you see how best you can help them. What a great idea to work with customers. That's neat.
Let me ask
you a different question. Some of my listeners are very, very small businesses. They're 1, 2, maybe 5 people in their company, and they may be saying to themselves, how do I get started? So what do you think is the first couple of steps to start looking at ways of automating their own little processes or big processes even?
So the first thing when you're a small company is you wear a lot of hats, and you want to get to a point that your team of one other person can do some of the things. So documenting what that is in your head so that they don't have to keep coming and asking you questions. So your first step in automating things is just documenting, which is not sexy, but it saves you so much time because you're not getting interrupted in your day by your executive assistant or your team saying, hey, can you jump on a Zoom with me? Can you explain this to me? It's already right there. They can search and find it when they need it. And then it's always consistent.
So when you say documentation, I always think big documents, but in reality, it could just be an Excel list of steps they walk through to do a certain type of task, right?
Yeah, it could be in Excel, it could be in ClickUp or Asana, it could be in Arvo. And what I love about what we built is we were looking at how people function in their daily basis. They're on their mobile phones, which they're on social media. It is all meant to keep you engaged. And then they go to work and they look at black and white text documents and manuals. Man, we are losing people left and right. And that's what we saw from our clients, that they were building these Google Docs and these Word docs, and they're like, man, nobody is reading this. And we were like, oh my gosh, that's because people are not going to read that anymore. They need skimmable, easy to read things. And then also to be able to embed videos and images really easily. So you can drop that in. And these could be simple. Like you're saying, they don't need to be these long manuals. It could be, these are my hex codes for my brand guidelines. So you don't have to keep looking them up to send to a freelancer that's building you a one-sheeter or a website. So they can be just simple pieces of knowledge that you just don't want to have to keep answering questions on.
And you just gave me this crazy idea that we should all be building TikToks for how we run our companies and all the steps in them. And it should be entertaining, and we should all be content creators.
Exactly. Then you can embed them in Arvo and it's perfect.
That's awesome. I want to come back to Arvo, but you said step 1 was document. Is there a step 2?
Step 2, if you're like, okay, I've done that piece of it, then using something like Zapier, that one can be really, it can get you started. If you're not super tech savvy, you can put a couple of automations together that says, when this happens, I want this to happen. And so you can start playing around with some simple automations. It could be when somebody books a Calendly meeting on my calendar, they automatically get put into MailChimp, something like that. I wouldn't advise that because they did not agree to receiving email. Let me just say that. But as an example that popped into my head in this moment, that's the first one that came to me. So it could be, you can start playing around. Which software platforms do you use? Look, and Zapier makes this so easy. They've got a catalog of all of them. So let's say you use Pipedrive as your CRM. Great, put it in Pipedrive and see, they even have beginner zaps that you could use. Like, okay, well, when somebody moves to one deal, what do you want to happen?
Yeah. No, I love this stuff because I used to teach people how to build an efficient office. And I said the mindset should be not about the technology, but it should be first about what is your process and who are your people. If you write down the process and then say next to every step, what role in your company would be ideal to perform that step, not what person, what role. And then you look at people and you say, what are their skills? What are their aptitudes? What are their likes and dislikes? And then maybe assign people to those roles. You may find that there are certain things you're doing. And this is what I personally do. I'll find things I'm doing I shouldn't be doing. I'm not the best person to do it. So why do I keep holding on to it? And then I can give it to somebody else to do. And then the automation comes where you start saying, how do I apply technology to this? Or how do I eliminate steps and rearrange my workflow? So that's really awesome that you're looking at it from that perspective.
So how did you evolve from how you and your mom originally had the concept for the business to just solely focusing on the forms piece?
Oh my gosh. Well, we
The
were doing
quick of it, I
consulting.
guess.
Yeah, right. We were doing consulting. We were very good at it. And like my mom, she's very good at Access databases. I was actually doing Excel programming. And I'll give you a case story. The Time Warner company back in the day had a whole bunch of stores. We helped their finance department automate their forecasting from every 2 weeks to every day by automating the task that person put into Excel. We just wrote an Excel Visual Basic program that automated 100% what they did. So it took 2 weeks of work down to less than 60 seconds of runtime. And they changed their process to doing daily forecasts instead of monthly forecasts. But that is the steps. I mean, we went through that and said, what are you doing, et cetera. Well, I then said, I'm going to become a financial advisor, leave the technology world. But I still had this mindset of applying efficiency and automation to what we were doing. And I kept doing it. Forms was not the first thing I did. I built Monte Carlo software. I built automatic charting systems, built integrations with Morningstar and our CRM that was homegrown. But Forms is what people wanted. And when you think about it, it's nobody's best work. So it became a hit.
Man, that is so cool.
Yeah. Well, so let's go back to Arvo, because that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, is documentation. Number one, they don't think to do it. Number two, when they think about doing it, they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
and three, a lot of people, I think, say, I'm a bad writer. I don't think I should be the one doing this type of work. So how does Arvo play a role in this? And what's the AI component of Arvo to help with it?
Yeah, so when we built Arvo, we said, okay, what are the different ways people like to document? Some people just want to word vomit and put a bunch of information in. Okay, so that's one place. The other people, they just want to record a video and have somebody watch that video. And then you have people that want to screenshot everything and put it in there. And so we said, okay, these are all great. And sometimes you want to have all of these things in a walkthrough with somebody, depending on the size of your company and the type of learners, because one person might be a visual, another person might like to read text. So that was one piece of it, that when we built Arvo, we wanted to make sure whoever was the recipient of this knowledge could get it in the way that made it sense for them, but also made it really easy for the person creating it. And so then as AI, we've been using AI for over about 2 years now, and using it and seeing, what is the best way when we're talking about documentation that AI can play a role in this. And so we've got one way we have integrated AI is a prompt writer. So if you are trying to train your team on using LinkedIn as a sales outreach process, sales outreach, and you need to write a process for them to follow, you can use the AI prompt in Arvo and say, write me a step-by-step process of how somebody should do LinkedIn sales outreach. And it'll write a 12-step process for you.
Wow, that's awesome. So,
it alleviates.
You're helping people figure out the framework in the first place. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, that whole burden of writing documentation can be greatly alleviated by having AI do a lot of the dirty work. And then what we're about to release, and we're in the final steps of testing, is, all right, let's say somebody either already has a Word doc of all the information, or they have a video recorded. You can upload that into Arvo. AI will take all of that, whether even a video, it'll transcribe the video and write the process for you. It'll create assessment questions for you, so you can test the person on the knowledge, that if it was, an upskill test, you want to make sure they learn the knowledge. It'll create a RACI chart. It'll create a diagram of your flow, all for you. This is no work other than you just uploading that asset, and it'll create all of those for you.
Wow, that's incredible. So you are helping people move from legacy document types like Word into a web-based system. Now, would you describe your product as a wiki-based, where you can create pages on the fly, or is it more structured? I haven't seen it.
It's I guess I never really thought of it like that. It's more of a wiki-based. So what we did is, depending on who's building it, we just wanted to empower people to have fun also with documentation. And so it's all component based. So we have a drag and drop button bar. You don't need to know how to design. You don't need to know how to code. It just has a button of, I think we have 11 different components, and you just click the button or you drag it down, and you can reorder everything. So you could say, I like the way this looks. I want to use this step-by-step button. All right. It's going to drop in a step-by-step, and then it says step 1. And then you can put a video, an image, text, whatever in step 1, then click over to step 2. So we really tried to make it flexible for people. And it has been, documentation isn't fun, but we do see people having fun using Arvo. So we feel like we're on the right track there.
No, that's great. Is your documentation private to the customer, or can they share it with their customers and make it public facing?
Yeah, that is such a great question, because when we originally built it, we built it for internal teams, but with a share functionality, just like Google Docs, where you could share it externally, get a share link. And so we had that already built in. And so when we started putting it in the wild and having customers using it, they were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing for us sending things to clients. And so and of course, clients are definitely using it for this internal purpose, but we're seeing this dual functionality. And we've actually been working on enhancing that public view for sending things to clients even more. You can build a library of documents. And so you can have, I call it a mini support center. So it's searchable. You can put client assets for that client in there and have it customized for them. And it's all really simple to do. And so you can have a client, sometimes we'll call it a client portal. What questions do you get asked most often by your clients? We'll have this little client portal that has a playbook in there that walks them through their questions.
My gosh, I have so many ideas coming to mind now, Alane. So I'm thinking about, for myself, like our company, most of my customers are enterprise, and they will build their own user experience with our product as an engine to produce forms. And then what do? They have to train their field on how to use it. They should be using Arvo to do that, because it'd be easier to build it out and manage it and deploy it across their field. But I'm also thinking of my customers. Think about a financial advisor. Let's say they work with 401ks at corporations, and they want to help people through the enrollment process, the onboarding process. They could use Arvo for that, right? And set it up for a client portal to that company. Is that right?
Yeah, you're exactly on it. And they might already have assets available from whatever, like let's say they're a financial advisor for Edward Jones. Edward Jones might already have stuff like that, but where to find it? Well, you could put that all in a client portal in Arvo. So it's like, hey, this is what you need to know when we start working together. This is the documents that you have access to, so that you're not chasing down, sending a whole bunch of different places. Like, no, this is our kickoff client portal.
So this is also interesting to think about another problem that you're solving, which is, let's say I put together a PowerPoint presentation as an onboarding presentation for end users of our software product, let's say. And I do that for a specific customer. So it's branded to them. I'm showing their, discount code, whatever it is. How do we share that with our customer? We send them a Dropbox link. Now who's controlling the Dropbox link? And where do you find it again if you lost it? If you give them a portal, I think it's more concrete, and you could put a lot of assets into that portal, not just that one presentation, right?
Yeah. And that's what, like, one of my favorite ways that I see, and that's such a great example, is you have that Dropbox link, but there might be something else that you want along with it. Like, do you want to give them the presentation and a video walking through it? Well, all of that can be embedded into one document in Arvo. And that's one of my favorite things to do after like a workshop. I send like a cheat sheet to the customers that were on that workshop with me, and it'll have the recording of our workshop. It'll have hyperlinks to assets that they could use. I put their logo at the top, so it's like, man, this was made for you. It'll have our support center email address, and it's all on one. We call them playbooks in Arvo, but it's basically a document. But it is one awesome, professional looking document, and people write back like, "Oh my gosh, how did you make this?" And I also made it a template. So how do I automate that to make it not like I'm reinventing the wheel every time? I have created a follow-up template in Arvo, so that whenever I finish a workshop, I duplicate it. I just change out the recording video, change out the URL for the slide deck I did, and some minor other little customizations, but I'm not reinventing it every time.
So from a sales standpoint, I'm going to put this in my own terms. If I'm working with a customer, we do what we call the idea meeting, the very first meeting, to understand what are your needs, what are your pains, how have you been trying to solve it, what tech stack do we have to work with, et cetera. And then we might demonstrate our product to see how it fits. And then after a call like that, there's usually some kind of follow-up. They may want a copy of the presentation. They may want a pricing sheet. They may want a sandbox account. Instead of a bunch of emails going back and forth, we could use Arvo, put a playbook together, and now it's a portal dedicated to them. Oh my gosh, why didn't we talk earlier? I love this stuff.
We are here now. That's all that matters.
Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. There are so many use cases for what you've built. Man, okay. So look, I want to kind of project something.
Okay.
I think your mindset is unique and rare amongst most people, because most people are, I'm going to do my job. I was told what to do. I think there's a lot of people who are detail oriented or big picture, but not both. Mm-hmm. And I think that you had to straddle both of that in order to put this together. So my question then is, what are some key points or lessons that you've learned that you can impart to others to help them maybe get some of this mindset so they see the world from a different perspective and can automate their business more?
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely more on the side of creative, vision, strategic, and process planning and documentation is like just this most awful, mundane thing to me. And what I learned so this is my third software platform, and my second company. And what I learned when we had 125 employees and 2 software platforms and clients all over the world, and our first company is those things that make me great make me even better if the rest of the team knows where I'm going. And so if I'm a big CRM fanatic, because I can see where I like managing the sales team and account management team. Well, I have a process that they need to follow so that I can see where we're going and I'm in my happy place. So, and then I'm not bothering them. So I've found that if you just start getting what's in your head out and putting it in some form that somebody else can pick that up and do it, you are going to be in such a better place. You can do the things that you like doing. And I'm lucky enough to have a business partner that loves that other side. So whether it's a colleague or another department, give them enough information to take your plan and run. It's like when you work with a graphic designer in the beginning, I would just say, hey, like, make me something cool. I need it for this. This is where I'm going. And I'd get it and get it back from them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. This is not even close to what I wanted. And what I realized is I was thinking that they were in my head, that they saw my vision.
Yeah.
And I had to get so much more accurate and better about explaining things. And that is the perfect example of whether it's a graphic designer or somebody on your team, they're not in your head. They don't know what you know. You have to document it. You have to explain it, and recording a video and putting that in with it so they can hear you say the words is the best way to do it. So that's how I get from being the creative, strategic vision one to having a team that I can delegate to and feel really strongly that they can execute, because those things burn me out. And I don't want to be burnt out.
So the trick is get it out of your head and don't assume people can read your mind and see everything that you see. That's awesome. That's great.
And it's so hard to let go. And that's another thing where I see like business owners with smaller teams, they have a hard time letting go, because like, oh my gosh, what if they do it wrong, or I'm the only one that knows how to do it. And that was the biggest fight my co-founder and I got in early on, and I had such a hard time with that. So I am speaking from experience. Nobody can do what I do. And he just was livid one day, and he never really gets ruffled. And he was just like, you are not the only person in this entire planet that can do what you do. You are not that amazing. Find somebody that can help you, write it down, and start getting a team. You cannot do this, and you are better at other things. And that was like the tipping point for me, that I realized, you know what, he's right. I am extremely burnt out, and I'm not doing the best things that I'm the best at.
Yeah, man, you need to hear that sometimes. There's something I said recently, I'll say it again, which is, it's ironic that we as leaders allow ourselves to make mistakes, and we don't fire ourselves when we make mistakes. But the moment we delegate to somebody else, we're afraid they'll make a mistake, or we're going to be mean to them if they make a mistake. Why would we do that? Let them make the mistakes that you've made.
Gosh, I love that. That is so much wisdom right there.
Well, Alane, as we wrap this up, I have another question for you. But before I ask it, what's the best way for people to find and connect with you?
LinkedIn is the best. So connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there. Love talking and meeting with people. So if you're interested in Arvo, you can go to askarvo.com and check out that. But for me personally, find me on LinkedIn.
Nice. Awesome. Okay. So my last question, who has had the biggest impact on your leadership style or how you approach your role today?
I wouldn't say it's a who, it's a what. When I decided to join EO, so I'm in EO Nashville, and that has been mind-blowingly helpful for me because I think I know everything. I think I do the best at everything. And I'm the moderator of my forum, so I had to go be moderator trained, and you're managing peers. And so I have become a stronger leader in the other aspects of my life because I had to show up and be mature and a different leader in the EO world. And so it has been, I had never heard of it. And I was in a different, in a different event. Somebody was like, you need to be an EO. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And whenever he told me more about it, and then I went to the first meeting, I'm like, man, I needed this in my first company. I needed leadership. I mean, I was 26 years old when I started that company. We blew it up, sold it before I was 35. And I was learning and failing with the best of them. And so I needed EO then. And I'm so glad now so that I can become that mature leader with my team and not just failing and scraping things together to get by.
And for those of you listening, EO is Entrepreneurs Organization. It's global. There are chapters in most cities around the country, around the world as well. You have to apply to be in. You have to be an entrepreneur or a founder. You have to make certain revenue thresholds. And it's kind of peer mentoring and social gathering. It's amazing. I'm a member as well, which is...
That's why we're here. We're here today.
Well, that's awesome. That is really, really great insights. I want to thank Alane Boyd for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Alane's website at BGBOCO.com. And don't forget to check out Quick at quickforms.com, where we make forms processing easy. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We'll click the like button, share this with someone, and subscribe to our channel for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Alane, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.